Hi, everyone. My name is Erin McCullough. I am the founder of FertileHopeYoga.com, and I am here today to talk to you about working out during fertility treatments. You know, one of the things throughout my career that I hear often is, how do I move safely while I'm undergoing fertility treatments? There's so much conflicting information out there. And to compound that, all fertility doctors seem to be on a different page with that as well. Well, I have worked and run my program at one of the world's largest IVF clinics for over a decade. And so I want to share my wisdom and what I know, along with a whole bunch of research to help you feel more confident in your body and utilize movement as a way to heal, to generate resilience, and just help you actually even take some of the symptoms that you feel when you take some of the medications and go through the procedures and put those as a non-issue as well. So I am a yoga teacher. I have specialized in therapeutics and women's health for over 20 years. I am a trained licensed massage therapist in the state of New York. I am a Reiki practitioner, Arvigo therapy practitioner, myofascial massage. So my range of training in my healing tool belt is wide. And then put that with the opportunity that Dr. Robert Kiltz at CNY Fertility has given me at running this mind-body program at as an integrative part of his fertility clinic for so long, has given me lots of opportunities to know exactly what works and what doesn't, and how to move safely. So let's talk about a safe way to move. So I think one thing that we can all agree on is that exercise, movement is beneficial, right? Physically, we're moving blood, we're releasing, we're letting go of stress. Mentally, it's a way of processing, transforming difficult emotions. It's a release. We feel better in our body. Now, this discussion takes a fork in the road, though, is how to do that safely. So if we take gentle movement, right, as a conservative approach, then we're talking about things like walking, yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, practices like this that are more holistic in nature. So I'm going to focus on the yoga part because that's my expertise and what I know. And so let's talk about what is yoga for fertility and how we can incorporate that into our fertility treatment. So yoga for fertility is a way of practicing yoga that supports what we are doing in terms of medical procedures and supports our body. So every yoga pose has a certain impact in our body, physiologically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, spiritually. And when we take yoga poses and string them together in a certain sequence, we can have a big impact in a very specific way in our whole body. So when I'm talking body, I'm talking not just about our physical body, but our emotional body, our mental body, our overall well-being. So that's what I offer at Fertile Hope Yoga. That's what I've done. I've created recipes, if you will, that honors exactly where we are. So when we have our period, it's an opportunity to go in, to connect to our inner wisdom, it's a letting go. So we can practice our yoga in a way to support those intrinsic opportunities during that time. During our follicular phase, right after our period, up until ovulation, we have an opportunity. It's a more energized time, right? We can do some cleansing, some detoxing work through deep twists and more rigorous practices, right? So anyone who's has a more rigorous practice, or likes the running, or likes more vigorous exercises, this is, you'll feel more comfortable in this time. And then after ovulation, or when we're in fertility treatments and there's any chance that we could be pregnant, we have this opportunity to then nourish our ovaries and our uterus in a way to bring blood flow and encourage implantation and create this really nourishing environment for implantation to take place. So it's practicing yoga in a deliberate way. It's honoring this special time in our lives, fertility, pregnancy, and helping us unlock the gifts that are available to us in this time. So specifically, now to get into more studies, when we practice yoga for fertility, we have a whole opportunity to increase our pregnancy rates. So I want to introduce you to Ali Domar. She is a world leader, Harvard researcher who has studied the impact of including mind-body practices such as yoga and meditation into fertility treatments for women. And what she has showed is that 55% of infertility patients who participated in her mind-body program for a 10-week period, which included yoga and meditation, conceived, compared to 20% in the control group when tested over a year. That means that women increased their chances of pregnancy by 175%, or were 3 times as likely to get pregnant. That's the research. So when we practice yoga for fertility, we also have an impact on our body on a cellular level. So not all exercise or movement is created equally, right? So when we're lifting weights, when we're running, when we're doing marathons, things like that, we're pumping blood to those big muscle groups to activate our muscles and away from our reproductive organs, which is counter to where we want to be directing our blood flow to nourish our reproductive cells. So a practice like yoga actually directs, because it's a holistic practice, it directs blood flow to our ovaries, to the uterus, to our pelvic area. And when we have increased blood flow, we have increased oxygen, increased nutrients, increased hormones, and decreased inflammation in our whole body. So we are able to impact our bodies, our eggs, our sperm, at a cellular level in our body. It makes a big difference. And of course, 90 days, right? 90 days is the time frame where any lifestyle choices can make an impact in the cycle of our sperm or eggs. So we want to give it some time. And lastly, over and over, yoga has been shown to decrease stress, decrease anxiety, and decrease depression. Anxiety and depression, unfortunately, almost go hand in hand when we get to a place in our fertility journey where we're choosing to use assisted reproductive technology like IUI or IVF. Yoga can be used as a tool to help support resilience, right? There's another Harvard researcher named Herbert Benson who actually started the Mind Body Clinic at Harvard, where Ali Domar worked. And he showed through studies something called the relaxation response. And yoga is kind of hand in hand, goes along with the relaxation response because it elicits the relaxation response. And what the relaxation response is is essentially like a domino effect that happens in our body when we start to shift our nervous system through practices like yoga, breathing, meditation, into the parasympathetic part of our nervous system. So it includes a decreased heart rate when we're in that part of our our nervous system has shifted. It's decreased blood pressure, decreased breathing rate, decrease of stress hormone production, less muscle tension. It even shifts how the brain waves are functioning in our body to clear a path for hormone and our immune systems to return to normal. Also, we know that when we have increased stress hormones like cortisol and norepinephrine, it depletes our reproductive hormones. So it dramatically impacts our fertility. So practices like yoga help nourish our reproductive system and our fertility that way. And I do want to read another study. This one was published in the Fertility and Sterility magazine in 2005. Experts at the University of California at San Diego reported that stress may play a role in the success of infertility treatments, including IVF. After administering a series of questionnaires designed to measure patients' stress levels, the researchers found that women who scored highest, indicating the highest levels of stress, had ovulated 20% fewer eggs compared with women who were less stressed. Moreover, of those who were able to produce eggs, those who were most stressed were 20% less likely to achieve fertilization success. So these practices go from a simple exercise to a whole way to shift what's happening in our body, physiologically, mentally, emotionally. And then the last part of what I know in terms of how yoga for fertility helps is all the things that are more intangible, like the Sangha or the yoga community. Women who are dedicated to the same practices and heading in the same way is so, so powerful. So being in a yoga community committed to practices like meditation and yoga, where we're breathing, where we're creating space in our minds and our bodies to feel empowered to know our next right step, where we're learning to use our intuition as our guide, everything else being a suggestion. We find it allows us to take back control. It allows us to create resilience. It allows us to find joy again, instead of being obsessed with results. Now we become easier to sit and find ease in the process, and actually are able to honor all the gifts that are available to us in a journey when we are experiencing fertility struggles. And then just feel better in our bodies. So many of you have lost confidence in your body through this whole thing. And we can, through practices like yoga and meditation, we can come back to feeling our power and wisdom in our bodies and trusting that. All of those are more intangibles, but they're just as important to help keep going, to persist, to heal after loss, after compounded losses, right? Cycle after cycle, it might not have worked yet, to grow, and to ultimately support us in being the best version of ourselves for our babies, for our families. That's what's possible. I really know that women who after fertility treatments look back at what they've gone through and know they're the best version of themselves for their families and their babies. And without these challenges, sometimes we don't get the opportunity to awaken those part of ourselves. So through yoga practice, we take the time to honor those openings. We find possibility, we find joy, and we find freedom again. When we have freedom in our bodies, it translates to our minds, and vice versa. We can work any access point. We can work through that. So hopefully that's helpful in terms of what's possible, and then also gives you confidence to know that there are ways you can keep moving through fertility treatments that are safe. I personally take a very conservative approach, even with yoga, and the yoga practices that I offer my clients and my students, because I know what the investment is when you're getting into IVF, especially, right? It's a high investment mentally, emotionally, physically, financially. And so conservative approach, but a very helpful approach. So I hope this is helpful. My website is fertilehopeyoga.com. I'm here as a resource. And I hope for you, through your breath, through opening up to new ways and ideas along this path, that you can reconnect to your joy. Thank you.